The use of the term back channel to describe what Jared Kushner reportedly proposed doing with the Russians, is that accurate to you? Is that what it was, a back channel?
That's trying to put some gloss on it that doesn't sound like what it was. We don't know. We'll find out. But normally a back channel isn't something where you go to the other country's communication system so that your own intelligence can't hear it. That's what it sounds like Kushner thought he was doing. It's also very suspicious that he did not report this meeting. This is the kind of a meeting you'd remember, meeting in the Trump Tower with him and Flynn and
a meeting which wasn't on the books at Trump Tower, initially.
So this group isn't acting like people who don't have anything to hide.
Does it seem strange to you that the number of people who seem to have neglected to report the meetings that they had with Russians, and whether it's Jeff Sessions, Jared Kushner, obviously we know about Michael Flynn?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This is very suspicious, and we know at that time that Kushner and Flynn met with Kislyak. Trump was denying that the Russians had interfered in the campaign and was kind of at war with our information services, our intelligence services.
Do you think they have something to hide?
My gut tells me they do, because they're not acting like people that don't have anything to hide. We will see.
You wrote, here's the thing you have to understand about Ted Cruz. I like Ted Cruz more than most of my other colleagues like Ted Cruz, and I hate Ted Cruz.
Yeah, well, that's about, he's sort of the exception that proves the rule. He's kind of a toxic guy in an office, the guy who microwaves fish. And, he just
microwaves fish.
And it
smells of the office.
Yeah, to get things done in the Senate, you've got to be able to get along with people. It's like you're living in a town of 100 people. And frankly, it's good to have a sense of humor. And part of the reason I say I like Ted Cruz more than most of my colleagues like him is that he values comedy. He's like a little bit of a comedy fan.
Really?
Yeah, I remember I describing the book. I'm talking to Jeff Sessions after and Jeff Sessions' wife knit a baby blanket for my first grandson, and so it's hard to hate a guy who's done that. He's not my favorite guy, and I challenged him during the hearings. But I'm talking to Jeff about we've just been away from a week, and Ted comes up to me and goes, "My friends and I saw Stuart Smalley with Michael Jordan." Which is a piece I did on Saturday Night Live, and now I had to explain to Jeff Sessions what recovery is, what public access TV is, what a parody of public access TV is, what daily affirmations are, and I'm going, and then of course Jeff left, and then I was, I devote a chapter to Ted. He's the exception that proves the rule, and the rule is that in order to get things done, you've got to be a good colleague.
That was the now infamous Q&A between Minnesota Senator Al Franken and Attorney General Jeff Sessions that led Sessions to recuse himself from the Russian investigation. Maybe he can try the same thing with Jared Kushner and the rest of these guys. So let's give a warm welcome to the fabulously wonderful Senator Al Franken. And by the way, I have to I didn't get to it, but he has this new book, which is called Al Franken, Giant of the Senate, by Al Franken.
Yeah.
So we know it's funny now because of that. I'm sure people think it's serious, do they?
It's funny and serious. That's what I've always done with my books.
No, I mean the title.
They're nutritional candy. Well, they're fun to read, but there's a lot of serious stuff in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Thank you.
So it seems like every other day there's a new bombshell coming out of this administration. The latest, we were talking about it before, about Jared Kushner's involvement, conversations in back channels with Russians. What do you have to say about that? Because Lindsey Graham and this one over here, Jedediah Bila.
This one over here. This one.
They say
Italians,
they say
it's all
that
right.
you can't prove it because it's probably it could be fake news. What do you say?
Saying it could be fake news. I didn't say it is.
Well, look, as you say, these are coming fast and furious, and there always seems to be something that they hadn't disclosed on the disclosure forms.
Right.
And this bunch is not acting like people who have nothing to hide.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
Sensing a transparency.
and this was a meeting among several meetings that Jared Kushner had that he didn't disclose when he was legally supposed to disclose them. And who knows, we may get to a point where the question is asked, what did the president know and when did his son-in-law tell him? You know, and but we have a special prosecutor.
Right.
We have both the House and the Senate Intelligence Committees doing investigations. So we have to see where the facts go.
And
Isn't
it possible? Isn't it possible though that the Russians are just messing with us on outlets that they know we're monitoring and trying, hoping that the media picks it up? Because I feel like they want to disrupt our democratic process, and I don't know. I don't know. Again, but I don't know. I don't know if that means
is shocked.
she's shocked again. That's twice I shocked her. But I don't know, Senator.
Well,
does that mean collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, or does that just mean maybe Russia's out to get us?
Well, we don't. We know that Russia did interfere with our campaign, and they did it on the side to try against Hillary and for Trump. That we do know, and all the intelligence services have said that. And the question is, did members of the Trump team meet with the Russians and help in that enterprise? And we've seen from Flynn, we saw there Jeff Sessions. I mean, it's funny. He answered a question I didn't ask. I asked him, "Would you?"
That's true.
I
That's
essentially
true.
asked him, "Would you recuse himself?" And he pivoted to, "I never met with the Russians."
Yeah.
And a lot of people give me credit for that, and I'm going like, you know, it's like Franken. He's playing three-dimensional chess. And he's, you know, he's clearly 4 moves ahead of everyone else. And I'm going like, no. I asked him, would he recuse himself? And then, because he recused himself, then we had the Rosenstein appoint the special prosecutor, Mueller, who's great. And it's all because I was playing three-dimensional chess.
Let's talk a little bit.
Three-dimensional chess.
Let's talk a little bit about this book, which there is one chapter in the book that has caused a lot of controversy. I don't know if you know about this, but there's a chapter about Ted Cruz that you wrote that is amazing. But in it, you call him an absolutely toxic coworker, singularly dishonest, and a sociopath. Some pretty strong language.
And those are his good points.
Those are the good. What inspired you to devote a chapter to Ted Cruz?
The chapter is really about how important it is to be a collegial senator. I've worked with a lot of Republicans to get stuff done, and I talk about that.
You're friends with Sessions himself, are you not?
Sessions and I were friends.
That's why he divulged that information to you.
And or lied to me, or whatever you want to call divulging. Anyway, so his wife knit a blanket for my first grandson.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
great.
and Cruz's wife didn't.
Did not.
We got, my grandson got 98 blue blankets.
Really?
And not Cruz, so that tells you next grandkid.
You know he's fundraising off of this stuff, and now he's responded.
No,
he's saying you're obnoxious and insulting, and he's having his moment with this.
I know. In the thing I say, the thing you should know about Ted Cruz is I probably like Ted Cruz more than most of my colleagues like Ted Cruz, and I hate Ted Cruz. And And the point is that he doesn't get anything done in the Senate.
No.
No.
He does not get a thing done. In fact, he really got the government shut down at one point for no reason. And, you know, being in the Senate is you're like in a small town of 100 people.
Yep.
And if you're going to get anything done, you've got to not be the guy in the office who microwaves fish. You know what I mean? You can't.
Good.
You can't be that guy.
That's good.
So that's
That's
Ted Cruz.
now he's going to
He's the guy who
fundraise
microwaves
over Al Franken said I microwave fish.
That's good. Speaking of microwaving fish, we've been talking about you-know-who's trip overseas and the damage he seems to be doing with our allies in Europe. And what I don't even know what to say. Are they right to be concerned that they no longer have the U.S. as allies? Our European
Well, you know
friends?
what is very disturbing to me, and you guys talked about it a little earlier, is climate change.
Yes.
And the Paris Accord, which is 100. I went to Paris for that, and 196 countries joined in, and everyone knows that this is happening.
Yes.
You know, I don't want my grandchildren, I have 3 now, in 50 years to say to me, Grandpa, you knew there was climate change, you were in the Senate, why didn't you do anything? And also, why are you still alive?
And we can't breathe.
I'll be 116 then.
It could happen.
Yeah.
Could happen.
Could have all this money. I say, kids, it's all.
Yes, baby.
Yeah. Well, it's all the money we put in NIH, in Institutes of Health. So,
Trump has grandchildren, too.
every other country knows this is happening. We know it's happening. Every scientist who has been peer reviewed on this is in agreement that the Earth is warming. We see water, the sea level rising. It does that for a reason. We have the ice caps melting. We also, when you heat up something, it expands.
Yeah.
And this is going to be, this is an existential threat to the planet.
Yeah.
And you know who knows this better than anybody? The Defense Department. Yeah. And they are preparing for this, and the United States Defense Department expends more energy than any other institution in the world because of the planes and the ships and the bases, et cetera. And they are leading on energy efficiency and on renewable energy.
They stand up to the commander.
Well,
add one, maybe.
you have.
That was a burn. We have to go. All right.
That's unfair to President Trump.
President,
Wait, okay, I tried.
President Trump has grandchildren also. It amazes me that he is not concerned about his grandchildren. What does that say about him? But we have to go. I love you so much. Thanks to Senator Al Franken. His new book, Al Franken, Giant of the Senate, is available now, and everyone in our audience is going home with a copy. We'll be right back.